Hi, hello! Lisa Eldridge has released her version of tinted lip balms. To be more specific, they are called the Baume Embrace Melting Lip Color. Now let me open up by saying that when these were announced, I was not interested one bit. I thought, sounds amazing, but I already have my Lucents. I love my Lucent, so the luxuriously Lucent formula from her. Why would I need something that is even sheerer in color? And possibly will travel more outside of my lip line. So at first I wasn't interested. But then, as you and I both know, because I talked about it in my previous video, I made the mistake of watching her reveal video, and as like halfway through the video I had already a wish list and I wanted to buy at least 4 out of the 5 colors. But then I composed myself and I decided to be a responsible consumer and just purchase one color and see how I feel about the formula. Because my fantasy self really wants to be the kind of person that can rock that kind of formula, but my real self, like this reality self, actually prefers to wear lipsticks that are comfortable, but that have a little bit more pigmentation and lasting power on them. And honestly, the lip balms, the melting color balms, I don't think that anyone has the expectation that these are going to last on your lips for the whole day. Because I think, first and foremost, you should think about these as lip care with a tint to it. It arrived in the classic white cardboard packaging from Lisa Eldridge, and you know the name of the shade as well. And the packaging of these is different to her previous lip color releases, the Velvets and the Lucents. So compared to the Lucents, this comes in a much more like slim packaging. And just for comparison purposes, I have a lipstick here from one of her other formulas. This is one of the Velvets, and this is now the Baume Embrace Melting Lip Color. You can see much slender, slightly taller, but still the same, you know, vibe in terms of like the vintage gold packaging. Besides the fact that this one is just a little bit more slender, just like on the outside I can't see anything that's really different, because it also has the Lisa Eldridge logo here on the cap. You know, when you open them though, you immediately notice the difference. The original Velvets and Lucents, they have a magnetic snap closure, whereas these do not have magnetic closure. They just like click. They click very nice and tight, but they do not have magnetic closure. You may feel about this any way you want. I like magnetic closure, but I don't necessarily miss it with this specific formula. And then this is how the actual Baume Embrace Melting Color looks like. This is the shade Epanoui. And I chose the shade Epanoui because the other three shades that I was really attracted to were Sweet Fig, Meet Cute, and the red one, Red Curve. Now, Meet Cute, I have colors like this over and over again. I have Kitten Mischief and a backup Kitten Mischief, and honestly that just looked like a slightly sheerer version of Kitten Mischief. Sweet Fig looks amazing, and I thought if I like Epanoui, Sweet Fig would be next on my list. And if they don't bleed, Red Curve would be also on my list. But because Epanoui seemed like a very interesting shade, like a neutral rosy shade, I was intrigued by it. Not to mention that Lisa had the most beautiful backstory for this specific shade, and she kind of made us want this color just because of the story. So let me give you a quick hand swatch here of the shade Epanoui, and then I can apply it on my lips. As you can see, this is a beautiful, like, neutral rosy shade with a little bit of warmth to it. I wouldn't call this a cool toned pink. This is definitely more of a, like, slightly warmer, neutral rosy shade. The shade is actually really pretty. So, another thing I wanted to mention, very important, this is not a first impression, this is not even a second impression. I received this already a couple of days ago, I just didn't really have the opportunity to film, and in hindsight I think it's better that I didn't have the opportunity to film, because now that I've used it, I have a review. This is not a first impression, this is not a let's try it together and see how we feel about it. No, this is a full-on review. I already have like full rounded thoughts on this. So let me remove whatever shiny stuff I still have on my lips from my lip balm, and then we can proceed to applying Epanoui on my lips without anything else. So this is the kind of formula that you can build. So if I apply just like one sheer layer of this, it looks a bit like my lips, but with a bit of a shine and like a rosy tint to them. Just as in the video, I can attest to the fact that once you put these on, you just want to keep smearing more and more. So that's what I'm going to do now. So this is Epanoui built to its full opacity. I think it is a beautiful shade. In terms of the shade, I'm really happy because this is something that I didn't really have, and it was not a color that I would have gone for if I didn't trust Lisa to make a beautiful pink shade. I'm not usually someone who goes for the pink shades. I prefer the beiges, the peaches, the browns, the reds, but pink would not be my first choice. However, when she spoke about this color and when she put it on, it looked just like such a beautiful neutral rosy shade. It just looked so unique that I was compelled to try it. Now, I want to try to describe the formula to you because I think the formula of this is what's really special about it. First and foremost, I want to say when it comes to her other lipsticks, there's never a scent or there's never any sort of like taste to them. This doesn't have a scent or a taste either, but I think because of the butters in here, it does have a scent. Like you immediately can detect a scent, and some people have said that to them it smells like Play-Doh. I can see where the Play-Doh association is coming from. I can't quite place it. I feel like it's not quite Play-Doh, but it's also not a scent that really bothers me. But it is there, and some of you might be able to taste it. I can only smell it, I can't really taste it, but it is present. So that's definitely something to be warned about with this formula. If you're like super sensitive to scents, on the one hand, she could have put something to mask the scent, like something vanilla-y or perfumey or, I don't know, fruity. But since she chooses not to scent her lip products, this is unscented, but it just has the sense of all the butters that are present in here. So all the butters that are present in here is what makes this formula so interesting. When it comes to these like balmy tint type formulas, I'm always a little bit worried when they're too shiny and too slippery that they're going to start traveling outside of my lip lines. As soon as I applied this the first time, I thought, I have high hopes that this is not going to be moving around because it has a firmness to the formula. So when you apply it on your lips, it melts, but it doesn't, I don't know how to describe it. It's not the melting type formula that immediately feels quite slippery on your lips. It holds its own. I don't really know how else to describe it. It would be really difficult for me to describe the sensation of this, but that is how it feels like. It feels like a hard butter which melts into your lips, but it doesn't feel very slippery and slidey. It has a beautiful shine to it, and it feels so incredibly nourishing on the lips. I really love the feeling of this product on the lips. Ultimately, I think whether or not you're going to like this really comes down to what kind of lip product user are you. I am the kind of lip product user who really likes, like I said, a bit more pigment, a bit more punch, something that is a little bit less maintenance throughout the day. This does not have much lasting power, at least from what I have experienced so far. I wore this to dinner, I wore this the other day. We had like a retreat with a group that we collaborate with in Germany on Tuesday, and I wore this basically like the whole day, and I had to keep reapplying it because even if I didn't really consume all that much liquids or food, it would still like wear away. So you can really think of this as the Lucent formula light when it comes to its pigmentation. On the other hand though, when it comes to the hydrating properties of this, you can think of this as the Lucent 2.0. I'm going to go back to that in a little bit because to me these are up against the Lucents. The Luxuriously Lucent formula from Lisa Eldridge is my absolute favorite, like buildable tinted lip balm kind of formula. I don't think of the Lucents as a cream lipstick because they are not a cream lipstick. They also have that like sheerness that you can build up, but the texture of the Lucents is completely different. So I adore the Lucents. So let me tell you why I adore the Lucents and why I am unsure whether these are adding much more to my experience and my lip product collection that the Lucents weren't already doing. So I love the Lucents because, like I said, they are a tinted lip balm type formula for me personally. You can apply them quite sheer for just like a light amount of pigmentation and shine. They do not slide around. They stay beautifully within your lip lines no matter how shiny they look on the lips, and they wear away in a very interesting way because they leave behind a bit of a stain. So they have more lasting power compared to the Baume Embrace. So the Baume Embrace just basically comes off your lips, whereas with the Luxuriously Lucent formula, I feel like there's always a bit of a stain left behind on which you can reapply a little bit more. With these, you're basically going, you know, to reapply from scratch. The way I use the Lucents is on their own, because I think you can build them to quite a decent amount of pigmentation. I don't think you can get, in terms of pigmentation, much more than this with the Baumes. And they wear away like a stain, so you can, you know, rely a bit more on them, on staying for like a good few hours, even if you have consumed something. The other way I really love to use the Lucents is over top of my velvets. Like about a year ago or so, I discovered that you can, it was really like right there for me to discover that you can put a Lucent over top of the velvet to give it a bit more shine, to like help your lips feel a little bit less dry throughout the day, because the velvets, obviously they're a matte formula. Throughout the course of the day they can feel a little bit drying, but then throw a bit of a Lucent on and you immediately feel amazing. So last year I actually bought a Lucent in the shade La Mépris to kind of use for that purpose, because La Mépris is a very like lightly pigmented, like beige, like nude beige kind of color that I thought wouldn't interfere too much with the color of my velvets, but would put that kind of like necessary hydration and pigmentation on my lips. Now, because the Baume Embrace has even less like lasting power on the lips, I personally would be using these more as you know, layering for the velvets rather than I would on their own. So like this on its own, I would probably use this if I'm not really going anywhere, I'm like running to the supermarket or like something, and I just want to hydrate my lips, more like lip care rather than anything else. Then I would definitely throw the Baume Embrace on. But if I'm going to work, if I'm going out for something, if I'm going out for dinner, the Baume Embrace would not be my first choice. Well, that really depends, like I said, on what kind of lip product user are you. If you prefer to go out for dinner and have something that just kind of like goes away and you don't have to worry about your lipstick going everywhere or wearing away in an unflattering way, then this is going to be your preferred choice. But I've so many of the velvets now and the Lucents, and I know how they wear away, and I know that if I'm eating something, the chances are high, for example, that velvet ribbon will stay on my lips rather well throughout the course of the evening, so I don't have to worry about it too much. So I am much more likely to be using my velvets or my Lucents to go out and about my day than something like the Baume Embrace. So I asked myself this: if you buy more colors of this, are you really going to use them in a way that enriches your experience compared to the Lucents, or are they just going to kind of do the same thing like the Lucents? And the answer is that I'm a little bit on the fence right now, because, like I said, while these will be used in the same way, the Lucents don't quite offer the same amount of lip care and hydration that these do. These feel amazing on the lips. You feel like your lips are being pampered. So the last couple of days I was having a lot of issues with my hay fever, and I was like, liquids were coming out of everywhere. Okay, my eyes, my nose, it was bad. I started taking antihistamine, so my mouth felt really dry as well. And this is a real lifesaver for dry lips. So I think if you are going through a moment when you have really dry lips, or in the depths of winter when your lips are super, super dry from all the wind and the cold weather, these are going to be absolutely amazing. For me personally, for now, I'm going to not buy any more shades of this, because I first want to see how this is going to play in my collection, how I'm going to end up using it, and whether I'm going to find that it enriches my collection above the Lucents, because to me the Lucents kind of serve the same purpose. So let me take this off now and apply it in the way that I personally would be wearing these in the future, and then I'm going to show you a couple of comparison swatches from other products in sort of like the same category. So like I said, I would wear these with a velvet, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to apply the lip pencil in the shade Muse as well as the velvet in the shade Muse, and then I'm going to put the Baume Embrace again. So this is now Velvet Muse together with Epanoui on top of that. Let me also add, Adding the Baume Embrace over top of a velvet means that the velvet is going to last on your lips significantly shorter than it would without it. I think even shorter than if you were to apply a Lucent over top. So while this feels super hydrating on the lips, it significantly cuts down on the longevity, so you really have to sort of decide for yourself what exactly do you want from the Baume Embrace. Is it something that you're going to consider more lip care, and are you someone who just prefers like very sheer, very like lightly tinted, you know, lip products that you don't mind reapplying throughout the day? Or are you like me and you would only really use something like this over top of like especially matte lipsticks in order to make them a little bit more comfortable? So with that said, I'm not going to apply it on the lips because I know the difference already. I've worn the Lucents long enough to know what the difference is. But I just wanted to swatch a Lucent next to the Baume Embrace so that you can maybe see the difference. So this is my Lucent in the shade Kitten Mischief. And I think you can already see texturally the difference in how much more like firm and thick the Baume Embrace is compared to the Lucent. The Lucent has a much more lightweight texture to it. It also adds a significant amount of shine. It's a different kind of shine compared to the Baume Embrace just because of, you know, all the butters in the Baume Embrace, and it doesn't quite offer the same kind of hydration. The Lucents are extremely hydrating. I love the Lucents, but they do not have the same capacity to care for your lips as the Baume Embrace would. I do have here still one of my tinted lip balms from Pat McGrath Labs, and I don't know that the ones from Pat McGrath Labs are really filled with such an amount of goodies for your lips as the Baume Embrace from Eldridge, but you can also see, especially the color that I have here, this is Flash 3, is far more pigmented than the Baume Embrace. In fact, it's more comparable to something like the Lucents. It doesn't have the same amount of shine, but it does have the same, you know, like firm feeling on the lips. So this is also not going to like slip and slide a lot. But this is just sheerer and much more like balm in texture compared to something like the Pat McGrath formula. I also have this lipstick here from Suku that I don't know that they still make. This is the Suku Extra Glow, and the shade that I have is 01, which is sort of like a beigey peach color. So let's watch that next to Epanoui so you can also immediately tell the difference. This is also much more lightweight on the lips. It is also shinier and somewhat more emollient compared to the Baume Embrace. Also very hydrating, also beautiful on the lips, but again, slightly like a different texture. I find the Baume Embrace to have a very unique texture to it. And finally, I wanted to show you one specific shade from a line that I feel like should probably be put in the same category. So this is one of the Dior Addict lipsticks, and this one is in the shade Tartan. Now, Tartan slips and slides around my lip lines significantly, and you can also see it is much more pigmented compared to something like the Baume Embrace, but more specifically, a formula like the one from Dior melts into the lips, but it melts into the lips to the point where it becomes quite much more slippery and emollient, and this formula slides out of my lip lines. Whereas I haven't had this experience with the Baume Embrace because of that firmness of the butters that's like holding everything together. So in terms of the texture of these, I personally do not have anything that texturally resembles or is a dupe really for the formula from Eldridge. This is quite unique in my collection. So on the one hand, that's really nice, that really adds something to it. On the other hand, all of these other formulas sort of serve that like hydrating lip care type purpose for me. So whether this is really going to stand out in my collection and whether it's going to make me feel compelled to buy more colors is still to be determined. I still don't know. I have not quite decided for myself whether these are so much better than all of these other formulas that I would really need to add more colors of this to my collection. I'm happy to have this one. I'll definitely use it and I will really enjoy it as lip care. But whether I need more colors, TBD. I'm going to close off this video. I hope that I covered most of the questions that you might have about the Baume Embrace Melting Lip Color from Eldridge. Do let me know if I missed something, if there are comparisons that you would like to see in future videos. Do let me know whether you picked up any of these. I think by now, most of you who have bought these have also received them and have also used them. So I'm actually very curious for your experiences. Please share them in the comment section below so that we can, you know, learn from each other's experiences. As usual, thank you so very much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!